Kylie, how you been?
Been okay. I've been okay. Working, trying to survive in this economy. I think that's what,
Yeah, this economy's fucking
I
nuts.
think that's what everybody's doing. So,
This economy's fucking nuts.
how have you been?
I've been good. Just working, trying to survive in the economy.
Exactly.
Trying to get my clout up so we can make it out the hood.
Man,
I did some Molly the other day.
how was that? How was
That was great because I have this thing sometimes where I get like, I don't know, I get really like irritated with I get pessimistic regarding
Yeah.
people.
I'm
Yeah.
related to that.
I have a tendency to kind of like, not like people that I talk to, but just like humanity as a whole,
Yeah.
people that I'm kind of loosely acquainted with. I'll have like really like negative, pessimistic thoughts about their character. And every now and then, you gotta pop a little Molly.
Would you consider yourself a nihilist?
I'm definitely not a nihilist. I think there's meaning to things.
I didn't know how extreme the pessimism was getting. I was just kind of gay.
No, it can get like, I don't know. It's a functional pessimism. And I feel like a lot of the times it's a pretty realistic pessimism. Like a lot of the things that I'll think are like true, but they're just, flaws that people have that are tolerable. And, I got my own shit. And like, so like sometimes it's not as much that I'm like pointing out things that don't exist. It's just that I'm focusing on them. Yeah.
Things,
Instead of focusing on a better thing. But I'll pop a Molly and that'll take care of that. That'll take care of that.
popped some any sort of Molly behavior when I was at a frat formal one time. I was a senior in high school and I was dating an older guy and he was a TKE and I was not aware of like, I don't know, fraternity lore.
Yeah. I don't know what that means.
Okay, so I didn't know that this was like the drug frat, the frat where they just do a bunch of drugs.
It's the one I would have been in.
Exactly. There was no expectations academically or societally. It was just, we're going to do drugs together, guys. So I go to this formal at Lake of the Ozarks and everybody collectively, like there's like 50 dudes, all their 50 days with 100 people, and we all drop Molly at the same exact time.
That sounds like fucking blast.
And things got really rowdy really fast.
Talking like orgy rowdy.
I mean, in a cabin, there was
some fuckings going on.
Yes, because we had like a whole section of the Ozarks, like all the colorful houses. There was like in the pink house, there was some things going on, but I wasn't there. I was at the dock where this guy jumped. He was feeling the Molly too hard, and he jumped into the water, shallow water. His arm broke his arm right there. We were like, "What the fuck?"
But he still felt great.
He probably
did.
He probably did.
Molly's super neurotoxic. It's not something you can do regularly, and I had to because I get drug tested, so I had to take 5 days off work.
It really exhausts the body. Like you don't even realize how like tense and like. I mean, you feel great, but your body's like.
Yeah, it's interesting because like while I'm on it, I'll get like the closest thing I can use to describe it's like an orgasm, like through my spine. Like I'll just have this like crazy tingling sensation, like starting in my spine and going to the rest of my body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it, so like I feel great while I'm on it, but I don't know. I don't think I'm as susceptible to the Molly hangover as a lot of people are.
Oh no, I felt like shit.
Yeah. Cause I hear people describe it like that and I don't necessarily feel great the next day. But I'm functional and cool and good.
I wonder what your dopamine receptors look like because that's strange.
Not great.
Because I feel like when you're on Molly, you're like, your receptors are like getting all this shit. And then when you wake up the next day, it's anticipated that you are really low.
Yeah.
And then you over here are just like, let's go to work.
I am like lower. I am lower, but like I know a lot of people who are like, just like miserable the next day. I just kind of feel like alcohol's worse. Like I have worse hangovers.
Just substances, period, really whoop my little ass.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
The next day is always like I don't know, like with any sort of upper, I can't sleep. I can't sleep. Can't eat. And it just becomes this thing. So I just don't. I just simply do not. I just smoke marijuana.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I'm a lightweight with weed. So yeah, I can't smoke it anymore. But like I used to smoke every day, and I wish I could still do that. But I used to smoke it every day, and I would do like one hits. I'd buy a quarter at the beginning of the month. I'd grind it all at the same time, and I'd just one hit it throughout the month. And usually at the end of the month, I'd still have an eighth left over. So I'd just blow that eighth down in one night, and then I'd do my one hits from the next quarter. And I'd be high as shit.
That's a very nice system that you've got there.
Mhm.
It makes me wonder if you have any like Virgo or like Earth placements in your chart.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I was trying to get some pussy one time, and I made a co-star.
No, that's real.
Yeah.
Real, because anytime I see like any sort of astrology thing close to a man, I'm like, someone's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's a woman involved.
Yeah, and then
Far behind.
And then she was like analyzing me and shit. And I was like,
How did that go?
this is strange.
How did the astrology coochie work out for you?
Well, the coochie was nice. How was the coochie was fantastic.
She older?
She was, she wasn't bad. She just kind of like not for me, not for me long term. She's a cool girl, but
did she identify you with the astrology? What do you feel like once she like saw it, like your birth chart, your information or whatever?
I mean, some things I think were probably accurate, but I think some other things were. I've always been kind of skeptical of astrology because I
understand.
I grew up with my mom being like, I sold your PlayStation for crack because I'm a Scorpio, and like, so I'm like, It's a little too much.
No, I understand.
So I got like a
like Scorpio behavior though.
Yeah, no. I have some trauma related to it, but I don't understand the science behind it, or if there is any science behind it. I hear a lot of smart people debunk it, but a lot of like really successful smart people believe in it. So I'm like kind of agnostic towards it.
That's fair.
Not always like anything that kind of like identifies people, I think can be like the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs.
Yes,
it's a personality test. It's like the INTP.
Yes.
That shit.
I think everybody knows theirs.
I'm an INTP.
Me too.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Nice. That means apparently
Back
we are
between I and E in PP. I don't know what the I or the E stands for. I think it's like introvert or extrovert.
Yeah, I's introverted, intuitive, thinking, perceiving, I think. And then there's like extroversion, sensitive, which is the antithesis to intuitive. Then feeling and judging, like the other ones.
The dome is very impressive.
I was trying to get some pussy.
That's what it is with the man. Every time he's trying to get the coochie, y'all.
Yeah, and I thought that kind of described me a little bit more accurately than most of the horoscopes I've read about myself have. But I think anything like that, like, they can definitely be useful tools for getting to know yourself. But I think it becomes dangerous when you start to kind of treat them as gods.
Yeah, I think how do I describe it? I think people naturally just kind of look for like some sort of like collective. And people can do that within their horoscope. Like, oh, you're an Aquarius, these are Aquarius things, or oh, you're an INTP, these are INTP things. People feel seen, and kind of validated. Way. So I feel like a lot of people who don't have a good like sense of self, or maybe a good self-esteem, even, will kind of head into those sort of things, and that's where they get kind of dangerous.
Yeah, a lot of it's wanting to feel like you belong to something. There's a thing where like, you kind of get like a sense of identity from it, which, I mean, can be useful in, certain circumstances, but I'm
thinking though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're not following me here. I feel like this can kind of happen when people get like, when they go to like the psychiatrist or the doctor and they get like diagnosed with something, and then it becomes like an identity almost. Yeah. I feel like as we've seen on probably TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, like BPD girls, like what is this? What is that?
Yeah, BPD
Why is that viral?
Yeah.
Why is that a thing?
Well, there's social currency in being a victim. And I mean, it depends in a lot of respects, but people will, pay attention to you and validate you and, sympathize with you. And I think there's a lot of like,
We have to starve them out.
yeah,
of their validation.
yeah,
Just ignore them.
yeah. Especially somebody with a cluster B personality disorder. Is they're pretty, validation's kind of like a thing. Yeah.
The fuel. God, you gotta watch out for that, man. Like I have my own mental health issues. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, same.
I'm not trying to invalidate anyone's experiences or minimize them by any means. But I think over-identifying and kind of accepting is for what it is not cool, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you don't, nobody
pick up that weight then.
Yeah. Nobody who's diagnosed with narcissism is like, I'm a fucking narcissist. Like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, people will kind of make their whole lives about it. And I mean, some, those diagnoses and therapy and all that shit's really fucking like useful. Cause like, I was diagnosed with depression when I was younger, but then when I was an adult, I kind of went back to the doctors, like more self-aware and more able to like explain what goes on in my head. And I went to like 3 different doctors because I was in a bad spot and I was really trying to solve this problem at the time. And they all diagnosed me with CBTSD, which is just like depression's, kind of a depression. Yeah. Depression's like a symptom of it. And complex post-traumatic stress disorders from like childhood abuse and like abusive relationships, or like people who live in countries where the government's like tyrannical, or societal collapse, and there's some kind of powerful entity abusing you, basically. Whereas like regular PTSD is like you were in a car accident or something. And it was great because I figured out what the problem was, and I figured out how to heal the problem. But rarely was I going. I never got on the internet and was like, oh my God, this fucking CPTSD is just kicking my ass today.
But I feel like it's because the issue that you were facing, the issue that you were having at hand, it didn't involve validation. It didn't involve a push and pull relationship, or a seek and a chase. Whereas people with like BPD or narcissism, that kind of stuff, that is literally a key part of. It's a personality thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Where I feel like you were having like an emotional collapse. Yeah.
And there is some where like part of healing CPTSD can kind of like manifest. And there were times like in my teenage years where I was really reactive. Like I was super I'd get angry and I'd fucking, do some crazy shit. But like, it's that all like stems from a dysregulated nervous system, and then that's a really like treatable disorder. That's what I'm saying. And like part of treatment for it is receiving some kind of like emotional validation for your traumatic experiences, but that's something you can do through therapy. And like I was always like pretty open about my traumatic stories anyway, because I'm good at they're kind of funny sometimes.
Dark humor is a good way to cope.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Talk about it for real.
Yeah. But whereas things are like, like BPD is a crazy one, because I think my mom has BPD.
I was diagnosed with it when I was
really
born.
Do you still struggle? I mean, I guess you would. It's probably like an ongoing struggle, right?
Yeah, it's like an ongoing struggle. It's kind of something that I had to. Like, it's a personality disorder, so I had to really deconstruct my entire perception of myself and the esteem that I held myself in, and that's not work that can be done, I feel like, with medication. I don't think
shrooms help.
Yeah, and that's something that really helped me because psychedelics
helped me a lot too.
Acid helped me so very much, and kind of, I feel like it was just like a big ego blockage. Like, it was so wrapped up in everyone else, like just getting feelings from everybody else that I kind of lost sense of what life even was. Yeah, and it was really scary.
Narcissism, BPD, and CPTSD all have like a lot of similar characteristics and can kind of manifest in very similar behavior. But like the thing about like BPD and CPTSD are usually a bit more treatable.
I feel like they also breed in similar environments.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
BPD, I mean, it can be genetic, but it doesn't have to run in the family. You can just have like one of those childhoods that's, like you said, there's a figure that kind of has control over you.
Yeah.
At a period of time. It's going to fuck with the way you see yourself and the world.
Yeah, it's gonna fuck with your sense of self and your emotional development, and yeah, usually between CPTSD and BPD especially, they all kind of have they have very similar roots, and narcissism can have those roots too, but narcissism can also be bred by like being pampered.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a weird thought to have, especially if you're like, you want to have kids in the future or something, because you're like, how like do I not treat them too well, but also not treat them like shit? Like, what's the middle ground there?
We've lost the way.
And there we go. Now I don't remember the point I was trying to make. So that's cool.
We're talking about narcissism and, how are we going to figure out the healthy balance between...
not treating your kids too well.
And treating them. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... I don't know. I'd have to read a parenting book on that because I don't have any solutions for that.
And I feel like you could read 1,000 parenting books over and over and over again, and it really won't make a difference because the child, the subject at hand is going to be different.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Until you get there, it's like, okay, you do the best that you can with what you have. And if your child doesn't grow up to empathize with the decisions that you made, then they don't.
Yeah, those books on parenting and dating and stuff, I kind of put them in a similar realm to like astrology or the personality assessments because, well, they can give you a good idea, a good starting point, a good place to start experimenting with solutions. But at the end of the day, everything's so nuanced and complex. You can't just fucking take them as gospel. You're going to have to use your own critical thinking to adapt.
But people don't.
No. I read yesterday the average IQ in America is 94, which is, I think average IQ worldwide is between 85 and 115.
So we're like
low average.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
We're not in the bench. We're not out in the wood.
Yeah, I don't know. Because IQ is kind of a weird thing too. There are like 100 different types of intelligence, and IQ is just kind of like a general assessment.
I feel like when it comes to like you were saying, like relationship books, parenting books, astrology, things like that, we should more so focus on books about just like the human experience, the human condition, less about the sectors in the condition or in the life, but just the mind, because I feel like we are all a lot more alike. And instead of trying to give each other like manuscripts and tutorials on how to live, just talk about it.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance there, because having certain technical life skills, I mean, it's, not a bad thing.
No.
But you can also learn a lot from a fiction novel. Or you're just
fairy tales
in the head of a character, and
hidden wisdom, hidden esoteric knowledge, and all types of shit. I have like a shaman. I used to work at Hooters, and there was this older man. When I say older, I mean older. He was like 70 something, and he would come in almost every day, and all the girls would fight over who would get his table because he would tip $20.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed this man's company because of I don't know, hit the books that he knew and, the wisdom that he held. And so he started giving me novels to read. And he gave me this small set of books called He, She, and We. And they were about the feminine psychology, the masculine psychology, and then pushed them together into romantic love, which was We. But it was told through myth. It was told through fairy tale. So like a chapter would be of the myth, of the fairy tale. And then the next chapter would be dissecting every single part of the story so that it turned into the lesson of the psychology. And it made it a lot more interactive and more fun and just, I don't know, more applicable. It didn't feel like I was reading a science book about my mind. It felt like, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's more immersive and easier to empathize with. And,
yes, I could relate to the characters. I don't know. Old literature is really...
See, that's crazy talent, people that can do that. So I'm writing a book right now, and like, yeah, well, I have an idea for 2, and I have an outline for 2, but I'm currently like writing one. And it's a pretty like technical, like scientific book, just debunking a lot of like pop psychology and toxic positivity, pseudo self-worth narratives. It's like basically like deconstructing the view of American white women.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
But it's difficult. It's difficult to even doing something technical to order everything so that there's like a sense of continuity and explaining these complex, concepts without using massive run-on sentences and cutting out fluff. And people who are able to write one book in 3 different styles, add all these twists and turns and connections. That shit's crazy.
It blows my mind, genuinely. And I'm going to just give a big shout out to all the creators, you included, podcast, because it's a lot of effort to have a thought, just an idea of something, and then somehow bringing it into fruition, into the 3D, something that's tangible. People can read it, they can watch it, they can touch it. That's hard, books especially. So shout out to all the creators, man. Keep doing it.
Yeah, it's interesting because like my like goal in life is to be able to basically interview interesting people.
Yeah.
That would be like the most fun job in the world to me. Which, when you think about it, there is kind of an art to conversation, and mixing an active conversation in with like an interview format.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of like a social skill that most, I don't know if I'd say, but like a lot of people know how to talk to people, right?
Yeah.
But like people who are really like Echo, who can just make music like that. Like that was never my creative motivation. I was always like, it always came from like, I'm more passionate about like business and financial and temporal independence than I am about like actually like creating certain art. And that, that can kind of be rationalized into an art itself. But some people just like, and I've made music before, and like it's cool when you finish a song, but some people just love this shit. And that's like that's one of the most fascinating things in the world to me, is to just have this like ambiguous, non-tangible, but constant motivation to always be creating something new and original purely so people can enjoy it.
Do you feel like everybody has like a facet of that within themselves? Like everybody has that ability? Or do you feel like there are some people that are put here to do the numbers, crunch the numbers, do the business, run the business?
Yep.
Or how do you feel about that? 'Cause I know a lot of people push like, everyone's creative, everyone can draw, we should be doing these things. Like, how do you feel?
Well, even people who, crunch the numbers, a lot of them are engineers. So they're not creative in the sense where they're making a piece of art, like a song or a painting, but they're making like a building or like a practical tool or something like that. And even, a lot of people who have, so what?
This is very true.
Yeah. And a lot of people who have like those mundane jobs and who crunch the numbers, a lot of them still have hobbies that they do in their free time. And a lot of them crunch the numbers and they fucking hate it. And they wish they were doing something else. And a lot of them enjoy it. But I mean, we need them to make the world go round. We need garbage men and, jobs like that. And thankfully, there are people out there who are content with doing those jobs.
Yeah.
But it ain't me.
It ain't us.
It ain't me. It ain't me.
I definitely think that there is some sort of creative like string in everyone. There's a creative bone in everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it be, I don't know, expressed as building buildings or putting wires together,
Cooking.
paint together, cooking. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has it. It's just whether how tapped into it are you? You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people cut themselves off and limit themselves. They think like, okay, well, these are the things that I've always been good at. I can't good at anything else.
Yeah.
You know, I can't try anything else.
People don't like discomfort.
I was nervous to show up here.
Yeah, you were. You thought you were gonna get canceled.
I did.
Still might.
I might.
Yeah.
There's more.
Still might. I don't know if you've ever listened to a really cool podcast before, but it's hard to imagine. You could top some of the shit that we've said.
I don't think I can. Just being friends with you and Echo in private, I think y'all got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For it.
I don't even know how many times we've tried to defend OJ on this podcast.
So, how do you feel about Kanye? Kanye.
Well, kind of brings the conversation back to personality disorders.
Don't do him too much.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think a lot of it is probably calculated and for clout. I don't know how the guy acts in private. And I mean, this is like such a crazy position in life to be in.
Crazy story, man. Have you watched?
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
And you grow up in Southside Chicago, and then all of a sudden you're like the biggest artist in the world, and you have this like insane creative muse. Like, that's the thing about Kanye. He's almost such a like insane creator. You gotta expect him to be a pretty flip person.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad that you acknowledge that, because I think that people don't understand the madness that has to come behind our entertainment. The things that we listen to, the books that we like to read, the pain and suffering that these people have to be going through to create that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't just fall out of their ass.
Yeah, definitely not.
So, I'm glad that we're not ignoring his mental health issues. But I will say, a lot of the time, I do agree with what Kanye is trying to say. I just think that he might have some sort of disorder where it comes out like really, like,
yeah,
he's like autistic or something, but like socially, he doesn't understand that some things cannot just be said. Like,
well, he's received, I mean, a lot of validation, and sometimes with like celebrities in particular, they're surrounded by so many yes men and people who want something from them, so they'll let them get away with a lot of fucked up shit. And then, over time, as that happens, you can kind of start to feel justified in what you're doing, and you can get a really big head about you.
Criticism, but to like a god.
Yeah.
To the highest level.
Yeah, because you have the validation from society to kind of...
I mean, when you're in Kanye's position, when you've built everything you have from the ground up by yourself, your brand, your music, your everything, why wouldn't you?
It's definitely something to be proud of.
Like, I don't believe in, I mean, obviously there's some sort of beauty to being humble, but I think that it definitely plays the person out. I think that it's kind of robbing a person of like...
Yeah, that's another delicate balance, because, assertiveness and self-assuredness, like, you got to be able to acknowledge your strengths just as well as your weaknesses. Because if you're somebody who can only is so humble that you can only focus on the problems that you have and trying to improve those, a lot of times that can lead to low self-worth and low self-esteem. And a lot of that depends on your inner monologue too, and how that conversation goes in your head. Because some people I have fun solving problems.
Yeah.
So if I see a flaw or something's wrong or I'm not good at something, there's kind of a fulfillment in fixing that. or like at least like thinking of solutions for it and experimenting, but you still got to be like, okay, I'm good at this or that.
Yeah.
And, nobody can take that away from me. And I'm, able to have a sense of pride in that. And I think a lot of that for me is internal. I still feel kind of strange. Like, obviously it depends on context, but sometimes talking about like the things that I'm good at or being like, I own this shit. A lot of that I say for like competitive situations. Situations where you can kind of let your ego shine, like you're playing a sport, or you're playing a video game, or something.
Just throw it in casual comms.
Yeah. Because nobody wants to listen to somebody talk about how fucking cool they are.
No, they do not. But I will say, this is so off topic, but it just like made me think of it. Like as a woman, like I've noticed if I just let a man like talk. It doesn't matter what he's talking about. Like afterwards, he'll finish and he'll be like, wow, like you're really cool. Like I really fuck with you. Like you're really different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm not saying all guys, but like a good bulk of them, they really do enjoy talking about themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially to like, there's some kind of like biological factor in that. Especially when you're talking to a woman. Because a lot of it's like all throughout the animal kingdom, the male's trying to impress the female so they get selected because the females have sexual selection for the most part.
This is gone.
And so I think there's something built into our reward system when it comes to opening up to a woman about things that we're like passionate about.
Yeah.
And things like that. And a lot of times, like a lot of girls, I don't know exactly what the number is because I have a lot of female acquaintances that are really good conversationalists and they don't make everything about themselves, but at the same time I've been on like a lot of dates specifically. It seems like in that context I've kind of seen it for where they don't really show interest in the things that you like. It's kind of like get to know them and court them, and sometimes it'll be like sometimes we'll end up fucking or something. It's not like they're totally uninterested, but they just like there's no like it's hard to like emotionally connect with them. And I think a lot of that is probably a lot of women are kind of on edge in dating situations, and rightfully so. It's a lot more dangerous, physically dangerous for a woman to date than it is for a man. But yeah, there's definitely like something rewarding about having a two-way conversation with a woman as a man.
No, I agree. And I think, how do I describe it? I think as a woman, there's nothing wrong. Like I personally have nothing wrong with listening to a man speak if he's speaking about something.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit and let a man kind of like talk in circles. But if he's speaking about something that he's passionate about, whether it be like cars, sports, or fucking whatever, I'll still be like, okay, like there's something admirable about it. So I think a bad thing.
It's just generally, yeah, I think generally if a person has knowledge on the thing that they're talking about and like okay enough social skills to convey it in a way that's at least understandable, then the conversation can be interesting as long as you're not in the mood to be left alone. But I think for men specifically, I think we don't get as much validation generally. Some guys get, some guys are the kings of the fucking world, but in general, I think we have to work harder for attention and affection. And so I think it's like a lot more special to us whenever a woman reciprocates our energy. But I mean, a lot of times too, women,
I would say on the other coin of that, like women are constantly sexually desired, never really interested in any other way. So,
and it's crazy,
there's two sides.
Yeah, and I think it's hard for a lot of men to empathize with that because we're like, well, damn, I wish I was sexually desired. Well, I wish I had. But then when you deal with so many people like approaching you to essentially manipulate you
or minimizing you down to that one thing, it's very dehumanizing.
Yeah,
I think that there's a lot of women that have experienced me included, that have experienced this so much, it's gotten to the point where, like you said, we're not interested in the conversation or dating. We're a lot.
Yeah.
Because we have an idea already, you know, and it's jaded and it sucks. And I feel like it's not a good mindset to have, but
I wish there was some way to study this or like measure data. Maybe there is, I don't know, but I kind of came up with the theory recently that people who are good at maintaining relationships are in relationships because they're good at maintaining relationships. So a lot of what you get left over is options. If you're like a single person, are the people who don't know how to communicate or who are, you know, really self-absorbed. So when you're dating, or even when you're just like associating with people that are single in a platonic context, I imagine it spills over to some extent. But it's more rare to find somebody who has those qualities because all those people are maintaining their relationship. Yeah. No,
I definitely agree. I think I have taken myself kind of like out of the dating pool the last couple of years, simply because I know that I'm one of those like rotten partners. Like I'm one of the spoiled apples.
You do have a giant succubus tattoo on your stomach.
Yes, I do. You see it from where I am?
Kinda, a little bit.
You know, so
that's neat. I bet that shit hurt.
Man, it really didn't. It was this one that hurt. The one that's like
on the rib cage or yeah.
Chest.
Sternum, maybe?
The sternum.
Yeah.
Sternum. The middle of my fucking chest. That shit hurt so bad. What the fuck are you saying? Oh yeah, but no, like I try to acknowledge my own because like I said before, you know, me having BPD, when it comes to dating, in romantic relationships, that's where my BPD shine.
Well, it's such a highly emotional experience.
Yeah.
And dating, like romantic relationships are like that for everyone. Aside from maybe having children, it's the most potent emotional experience that a human being can have. And when you're dating somebody, like at some point, your most deeply rooted traumas are bound to resurface. And it depends on the intensity and like the frequency with which that happens, depending on situational context and, you know, an individual's level of healing and awareness and life skill. But
it's dangerous, man.
Yeah.
Dating is literally just like meddling your demons with like somebody fucking else's. And you, of course, you start off the whole thing with giving each other flowers and, you know, everything's all sweet and roses. And then somewhere in the middle, you guys get comfortable. And all that subconscious shit just starts to like, so yeah. Like if you're not, I don't know, when you're single, like actively working on those things, what's the point in getting in another relationship? Because I bet you the same dynamics can play out.
Yeah. And it's strange because like one of the ways, you know, you kind of got to practice to get good at relationships. So part of dating, like getting good at dating is dating, but then you have to take back you have to really like, you still have to like prioritize that personal development. And if you're somebody who doesn't feel like you're in a space where you can date, you should probably not date. And if you're somebody who like recognizes that you have work to do and that's a process, then you should probably not date.
But there's also a good amount of, no, I'm not going to say good amount. There are some people out there that will do that work with you.
Yeah. Well, that's essentially what a relationship is. A lot of people have these like misconceptions about relationships that it's two healed people coming together and just being fucking, you know, healed and happy. And really what it is two damaged people coming together and healing together. Yeah. Because I mean, that shit's a lifelong journey.
It is.
You know, like you're always like in relationships, especially, there's going to be conflict. And I think conflict resolution and like nervous system and emotional regulation are probably the top 3 skills when it comes to maintaining a relationship. And then just the ability to commit, because eventually the chemicals wear off and
it
you're
is, yep.
making a decision to love somebody.
And it's effort at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not running off of an emotional high. You're running off of the mutual respect that you built with that person, the trust that you built with that person.
Yeah.
Really hard. And I feel like that kind of relates back to the book the mythical books that I was referring to, the romantic love. It judged Western love. It did. How we've lost the art behind it, how everything we just talked about, it being growing and healing with someone. It's not like that.
Yeah. It's not for the most part.
People marry for, I don't know, tax benefits.
Yeah.
Just money, freaking status, all types of weird shit. So it's just a really dangerous game to play when you're not interested in this.
Yeah. And so some of that's not new, because really the idea of marrying for love is relatively new. We've only been doing that for like 150 years for the most part. And back in the day, marriage used to be about like, oh, our farms are next to each other, so we're going to get married so that we have a bigger property and own more land. Like there's always been like a really big financial aspect to it, which is one of the reasons I don't think I'll ever do it. But like people have had romantic relationships all throughout history, but a lot of like the really like formal marriage stuff, a lot of that was kind of based in financial reasons. And some people still prioritize love, but you know, it used to just be like, hey, I got a daughter, you want to buy her? You know?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a cultural thing. In some cultures, it was, you know, hey, I got a daughter, you want to buy her? You know, he's got a lot of money, he'll take care of my daughter, give me many children. And then in some cultures, it's always been about love and, all right, who's going to take care of me when I'm
yeah
you know, shit like that. So it just depends on kind of where you are.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, even in America, I don't know, I think it probably improved up until the point that maybe like the 90s, or when social media was invented, and then started declining again. But like a lot of the problems you see in America is like, first of all, we're really like coddled as a country. And it's crazy to think about, because it's hard and expensive to live here, and the government doesn't take great care of the people. But compared to most other countries, we're doing pretty fucking good. If you make over $30,000 a year, you're in the top 1% in the world.
Cool.
Yeah. And so, you know, we don't struggle as well as a lot of other countries do. And I mean, people who've been through like a lot of trauma kind of have, but like a lot of like the healthy American family, the children in those families generally don't, like, most of the adversity they face is self-inflicted, like trying to get good at a skill, or, you know, something like that. They don't really have any like external factors that are just forcing them to grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then I think dating apps and social media specifically, because people just have it in their mind, this grass is greener mentality, that they can always just go on to the next best thing.
Clearly, like, a dating is putting a whole person's being, entirety, trauma, childhood, everything into a few pictures, 180 characters, and a fucking song.
Yeah.
And we think that's going to be a good indicator or a good telltale of maybe it's a good partner for me. Oh, they're attractive. Or, oh, this was witty. That was funny. They said something that I haven't heard.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be good. We can't be going somewhere good as a society when that is how we're picking our partners. I am not on dating apps. I do not entertain 98% of the messages that I get on any social media.
Yeah.
It's not organic.
I've tried dating apps, and I have met cool girls on there. Again, not like girls that I, you know, see myself with long term, but not girls that I have any problem with. You know, we're just not compatible. But like, it's difficult, especially because like 90% of the women are swiping on the same 5% of men on dating apps. They've done like studies to record that. So like only 5% of the men are getting majority of the swipes, and everybody else is kind of getting forgotten. And then the men are swiping right on everything that isn't fucking a lard ass.
Right.
And
even that,
but it's hard to like. I've always been better at like approaching one and talking to them, and like one-on-one, or even, you know, just like group conversations, in-person interactions. Anything else you can? It's really hard to get a feel for who somebody is.
Yeah, 100%. Because I know when I talk to people online, I don't have enough energy to use my thumbs to like really communicate all the stuff that I would like to. So I know that people probably think I'm pretty stale or pretty dry when they talk to me via internet. But in person, it's not that way at all.
Yeah.
Not that way whatsoever. So you can't get a good feel for someone entirely online. And I don't try to accurately perceive myself online either. I don't feel like that's something that I owe anyone.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people post every day what they eat, what they're wearing.
Got the whole damn life on
their whole life on there.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, who are you expecting to slide up? How many likes would you like to get on that story?
Yeah.
What are we like? What's purpose? And I had to analyze that own quality within myself. This was not something that I just like always thought of. You know what I'm saying? I used to post hoping that the right person would see it, and I had to really get a grip.
And we are back. If you are one of the 9 or 10 people who watches our podcast somewhat regularly, you are used to technical difficulties by now. I don't remember what we were talking about, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Forgot the question that I was going to ask. Oh, how does your personal style reflect your identity?
That's a good question. I feel like my personal style is kind of dramatic. It's kind of slutty. Hello. And what, I don't really know how to describe it, but I try to just dress in clothes that make me feel good. I feel like that are a reflection of what it feels like inside. So sometimes I'll put on, I don't know, 2 or 3 different belts. I'll put on some fur on the top. I'll put on some leg fur warmers at the bottom.
2 or 3 different belts at the same time?
Yes, I love throwing on like
Oh, wow.
a lot of shit. Like just like stuff that would make somebody stop and like what is she wearing?
Yeah.
Like I like getting those reactions for my outfits. Something that someone will remember or maybe even laugh about when they get home. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm cool with that. Just something a little funky. Now, granted, I'm not wearing a funky outfit today. Kind of just threw this on, but
dressed like Shaggy.
Yeah.
You never know. Yeah.
I was feeling the all nude. I usually wear all black or some shade of brown.
I wear a lot of black too.
Yeah, I don't really wear too many bright colors. I'm pretty pale, so I don't know. Bright blue, bright green does not want stuff, and that's fine.
Yeah, I like black and like navy blue, and then I do like white and like cream colors.
Yeah, like solids, neutrals.
I'm glad you thought that was a good question because I have no idea how I'd answer that. I think it says that I like baseball hats and hoodies. That's pretty much it.
Going out, I look at my closet and I'm like, okay, what can I throw together? Like different textures or different like, I don't know, colors. Like I think green and brown goes really well together.
I definitely, it's like the color of an unhealthy poo.
Whoa. No, I'm not going to wear it ever. I won't wear it ever again.
But no, they do, especially like that darker green or like a more like faded green. I definitely like color coordinate. But I don't think about it too much aside from I like sports jerseys and like Hawaiian, not even necessarily Hawaiian, just like button up shirts with cool patterns on them are probably like the craziest I'll get. For the most part, I try to keep it pretty simple, but just be like presentable, presentable and match.
I have dated like fashion guys in the past, guys that like really put effort into their appearance, and I don't like those. I will take the man in a hoodie and a baseball cap.
Yeah, it's
at this point.
It's interesting. Do you know Juan?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, Juan's into fashion. I like Juan a lot. He came on for an episode of the podcast and I forgot the fucking camera, so I gotta like export the video, put it on my laptop, and edit all the audio together. And this is like 6 months ago, and I just felt like doing that. But it was a great episode. It was one of the best episodes of the podcast.
No, I know him from social media. His fashion is insane. I love the way his mind works. I think that because whenever I look at someone's like Instagram page, if I'm like looking for like a mutual or just someone to follow, I'm definitely looking at the style. I want to be able to follow people or just like see content that inspires me to put that shit on as well.
Mm-hmm.
I actually am getting a sewing machine for Christmas.
Oh, that's tight.
I'm going to try to make my own clothes because all the clothes that I would like to wear, I do not have the money to purchase. So I think that fashion should be more accessible to the common folk. I think that people should not break the bank and express themselves creatively.
Yeah, that's one thing about fashion is like if you're into it, it's an expensive hobby.
Expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I don't know. I've never thought too much about fashion, but I've considered it. And I know like it means a lot to a lot of people. But like sometimes I'll see the stuff at the fashion shows and like especially some of the stuff the guys wear, and I'm like, I would never in my fucking life even think to.
I love high fashion. I love high fashion. I love runway fashion. I love clothes that convey some sort of narrative or story. I think that it's like art in motion. Like literally something like you can wear a flannel or you could wear like fucking Lady Gaga meets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just got to figure out like what you're comfortable doing.
Yeah, I like art on clothes in the form of like a graphic hoodie.
Yeah.
Just like something simple that has like a cool design on it.
I like graphic hoodies. I like cool hoodies, cool t-shirts as well. And a lot of people really can put that shit on using graphic hoodies, just like matching things to the graphic. So there's all different ways that you can artistically express yourself in clothes. It doesn't have to be some crazy like niche thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can still do it with some dunks and a cool hood.
Yeah, a lot of people like you can learn like what city a person's from by their clothes, you know, what sports they're interested in.
Like fashion snobs though, man. Like I don't like people who like judge other people for like following trends. Like let's not behave.
Oh, you're not original enough.
Like I've seen the outfits that make concept. Okay, they like it. And
who gives a fuck? People are like that with music too. It drives me nuts.
I hate it. I hate just like the
I'll put you on, bro. Remember when I put you on?
So like gatekeep about shit. Like it's just really annoying. I feel like I don't know. Like I said before, it's a collective experience. I think everyone just needs to like chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Not to say take a Xanax, but like chill the fuck out. I don't know why everyone's so high strung about, oh, this is my food spot. This is my artist. This was my clothing brand. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, it's that hyper individual.
Yeah.
Like, no one's that special. I promise you're not the only person that likes that outfit, nor the only person that likes
people take a sense of pride in exclusivity.
It's the norm.
It's weird.
Like, I don't know. I was excited when like Bones got on TikTok. Like Bones and Suicide Boys like really caught a wave. Mm-hmm. And you know, is it a little cringe sometimes to see like your favorite artist being listened to by like 14-year-olds? Yeah.
Yeah.
But are you still excited for their, you know, success and everyone like, I don't know, enjoying and appreciating someone that deserves to be enjoyed?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, if you really support an artist, you're gonna want them to grow. Yeah. Because like that means they're more successful and their life is better and they have more money generally. You know, and I always
more music.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird when somebody liked an artist and then the artist goes mainstream and they're still making the same type of music, but they don't like.
Well, they sold that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like.
Yeah, that's just weird.
I wish everyone could just take a chill pill.
You mentioned the drug frat. Have you ever fucked with a Q dog? You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
They're known as like the Ratchet frat. It's a Divine Nine frat. I think they're mostly HBCUs. I don't know if we really have them.
I know some nukes. But when it comes to like HBCU fraternities and sororities, that's like a whole nother world, and they take that shit very serious.
Yeah.
I feel like at PWIs, people just really do like fraternities and sororities more so as something to fucking do, people to get drunk with and high with.
Yeah.
But at HBCUs, it's really like a community. It's a lifelong commitment. It's something that they take pride in. Like you don't fuck around, stroll, man. No, you don't fuck around. People are strolling. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a level of respect there.
Yeah. I just went into a Q Dog rabbit hole last night. It was fucking fascinating. Ended up watching this documentary about hazing, but it was just these dudes like dancing with their shirts off and like licking their lips. And
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Stomp the Yard.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's a fraternity. It's some sort of like that. You know what I'm saying? But you saw how horny that shit was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shirtless, walking around, stomping around, looking at girls. You know what I'm saying? Like there is an air of like sexuality to it. I'm not mad at it. If I see videos of guys strolling on my TikTok, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I imagine as being like being attracted to men is probably cool, but like as a guy watching that, you're like, what the fuck is this?
You know how women feel when we open our Instagram and there's a girl wearing shorts that are like 5 sizes too small and she's like up trying to get something.
Yeah,
we're like,
that's just funny.
Stop.
That's just funny.
And all the guys are in the comments like, ooh, blah, blah, blah. Like it's, we just kind of keep scrolling.
It's funny when those girls like take videos of themselves at the gym or the grocery store and they're like complaining about somebody checking them out. And then, but it's like your whole like fucking career is people checking you out on the internet.
They have to find some like level of like uncomfortableness or else people are just going to call them like outright like whores. So
yeah,
have to pretend like they're uncomfortable with it so they don't get entirely eaten up in the comments. Like girl, just be proud about it. Like if you have an OnlyFans or you're a content creator or you do something where you're pushing your sexuality, just own it.
Yeah, for real.
You don't have to save face for me. I hate that shit.
It's interesting because a lot of those girls don't even really fuck around like that.
They don't.
Like they just
themselves.
They just fuck themselves and be naked on the internet, but they're not really like putting out like that for a lot of guys.
Because they're so hypersexual that when they actually are not working, they're not making money. That's the last thing they want to do.
Yeah, because they're like jaded.
Hooters girl and Twin Peaks girl. I even served at a strip club for a night because I could not take that level of disrespect. I was so uninterested in men after a while because every single day it was just like men flirting with me, me having the fake conversation for the tip, So in real life, I damn near didn't even know what to say.
Yeah, and like part of the job is like flirting, and it's so I'd be so bad at that,
dude.
I'd be so bad at that.
Like, I'm just glad that men think that there's like a chase because I'll just blatantly be like, I don't know what to say, and they'll be like, I love it when they're like that, and I'm like, okay, cool. If I'm still getting the tip,
yeah.
So, well, like, oh, she's playing hard to get. Like, no, I'm actually really confused.
Yeah,
like I don't know what's going on. Or like the worst part is like, because I'm pretty like small, pretty frail individual. And they'll be like, I'll be at work and they'll be like, how old are you? Like, are you old enough to be serving liquor? And I'm like, yes, like I'm 21. And then they're like, oh, well, hey. And they start getting up. You was a minor.
Yeah, for real.
And now, and it happens every single day. Every single day.
Yeah, that would definitely get annoying.
It's just gross. And then like I'll see like older married and I'll literally watch the man with his eyes follow the young servers walking around as his wife's just sitting there drinking her drink. And it just makes me want to vomit. Like, I hope to never be that lady today.
Yeah, a lot of those older couples are like swinging too.
Yeah.
I go to there's a Hot Shots down the street from my house. And I go up in there and get a pizza once every week or couple of weeks or so. And there's like a big, like, it's a lot of elderly dudes and lesbians. And it's weird because you have the regulars at those places, and I guess I'm one of them now. but like they a lot of these guys, like, they go in there and that's their like feminine energy fulfillment for the week. And they're like, a lot of these guys are like really like actively pursuing, which I get if you were like my age and you thought you had some chemistry with one of the waitresses and like, that seems realistic. But a lot of these guys are like 60.
Yeah, they're like, no, it's not.
Talking to a 20-year-old, and it's like, I think some of them actually believe they got a shot, though.
They do. And I think it comes from it's a narrative that women kind of push too. Like, if you have money, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, money rules the world. That's been a saying since forever. So these old guys, they think like, okay, well, like, I have my retirement pension, so like, why won't these ladies talk to me? And some ladies will.
Yeah, some
will give them the time of day because they want their little pension money. I
think that's a lot more. I think that's a lot more rare than people make it out to be. I think it's pretty common, but I think a lot of people generalize it as like it's an easy thing to do as an older guy to find a sugar baby who's like actually down to fuck you. Like, I know girls who are like, will like riz you up a little bit and, try to get the best tip out of you. Or maybe they'll like, try to sell you some nudes or something and you'll buy it. But I don't know a lot of girls who are actually spending time with those guys.
No, as a former, girl in the industry, never. I've never once actually met up with a customer, never once actually, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll give the number, run them around, get them back to the restaurant every time. But once we start pushing the envelope, it's pretty much cut there. And I feel like most women say the same thing. But for some odd fucking reason, guys as a whole just think that girls are out here like sucking and fucking and doing everything for a buck. And I don't know what it is, but the narrative is getting really played out.
Yeah, I think OnlyFans has really driven that narrative.
Like, we need to like give a break to the bitch. Because like you said before, there was a time where women just got sold to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there are segments where like almost as a demographic, women are trying to still adapt to independent and like cultivate some sort of demographic identity. Because it's relatively new.
I'm glad that you touched on that. I really am, because I wanted, like, that was something that I talked about on my Finsta a couple days ago, was just how like women are starting to get like really hard on themselves about like standing on business. Just like, I don't know, they're just getting really hard on themselves about like dating and everything else. And I just have to remind women gently, like, this is a patriarchy. Like, literally less than 100 years ago, we didn't have rights to do fucking anything. So like, don't feel bad if you wrap yourself up romantically for a couple years, or, you hyperfixate on guys, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you dress up or do your makeup for the appearance, hoping that a guy thinks you look good. Like, don't beat yourself up too bad about it, because unfortunately that's just like,
yeah, well, it's part of a process of maturing. Yeah, and like, it's like anybody's going to make certain mistakes, and some mistakes are going to be different than others. And
like, men in history, they had, wars that they led, and governments that they led, and buildings that they built, and they had full fucking lives. But just recently, women got that freedom. You know what I'm saying? Our whole history, women's lives were based around their husband and their children that they made together. So, bitches, give yourself a break. You know what I'm saying? There are going to be women just like, okay, I can do OnlyFans, or like, I can do this, I can do that, because they can't really conceptualize that they are capable of doing everything that we meant to.
Yeah.
And then there are women that do understand their power, and they do understand what they can do. And unfortunately, they get labeled as like, I don't know, hard ass,
disagreeable, and yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's part of the reason why I got the succubus tattoo. Is because I am a huge advocate for the wild woman, the hard ass woman, the woman that knows what she wants. She's setting her boundaries for it. You know what I'm saying? Just a woman owning her womanness, her femininity.
It's weird too, because you hear a lot of people talk shit on the sex workers and kind of generalize women, and criticize them for promiscuity. But like, you don't hear a lot of people being like, well, men kill each other all the fucking time, like, I just thought of that right now. I was like, I've never, I've heard people talk about it as in the sense that like governments are responsible for a lot of death and throughout history and all the conflict. But like, for the most part, those governments have been run by men. And it's like, that's kind of like part of our genetic nature, is this competitiveness and this like need to be dominant. And like, violence is like something that
close threshold behind it.
yeah.
So we don't criticize men for their destructive, competitive nature. I don't know why we are so hard on women for their promiscuous, sensual. You know what I'm saying? That is woman. That is okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't have to label her a slut. You don't have to label her disagreeable, or you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be, just let a woman be a woman, and I promise you, she will soften up so much more.
I think just in general, we could be a lot more forgiving of each other.
I completely agree.
Or if not, I mean, forgiving of each other from a distance. You know, if a certain thing's not for you, then a certain thing's not for you. But I think we could also be a lot more careful with who we really give our time and energy to. Because if somebody doesn't really like align with what you like say you're a guy and a girl has an OnlyFans and you're dating her, but you're like trying to get her to stop doing OnlyFans, or you really like don't like this thing about her and it really bothers you. It's like,
girl,
you can just find somebody else, and like that doesn't mean that this woman's a bad person, you know?
I'm with you on that. I really am. I think sex workers need to be validated. I think sex workers deserve a safe environment. I think they deserve to be legally represented. I think that they deserve human rights. It is a job, and whether you like it or not, it fucking sells. Whether you like it or not, has always existed. It will always exist.
Yeah.
Let's stop shaming women for it, and let's just start encouraging men to be less brutal in it.
Well,
women can,
and it's one of those things. It's like drugs. Like, if it's illegal, the game's going to be a lot more dangerous, and there's going to be a lot more like negative effects that stem from it than if you just legalize it and regulate it.
There's a stigma. There's like a nasty connotation to like sex work. It becomes a heavy topic. You know, and when, I mean, this is a huge difference, but I mean, when weed was like legalized or decriminalized, it became like a conversation that you could kind of have with older people. Whereas before, weed with old people was like, oh, like, yeah, oh, like, I don't know. But now it's like, it's a thing that we can kind of bring up in conversation. And I feel like we would have that same effect with sex work. Like, oh yeah, like my TT, you know, she shoves dildos up herself on camera, like whatever. Instead of like, yeah, my TT does OnlyFans. You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't have to be like that. Yeah, it's do it. It's
weird how those things progress. Because I got kicked out of my house when I was 15 for smoking weed, and my dad smokes weed occasionally. So it's like, it's weird.
Like, we get comfortable with things.
Yeah.
Time goes on. If we let it, we just have to be open to it.
How do you feel about OnlyFans and porn specifically, and the impact that it has on society? Because I have mixed feelings about it.
I will agree that I have mixed feelings. I definitely am pro sex work, pro OnlyFans, all that shit. But I think that there is a dark part to almost anything. You know, there's a light and a dark to it.
It's a super nuanced conversation. It's
really like a different one, because porn, I mean, as a whole, has been a really destructive tool against our men for a while. Yeah. And now that we have OnlyFans, where like women that you can see at the grocery store, women that you can actually see in, like, now we have that as well. So I can't even imagine like the way that men are starting to view women and also view sex.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna get really unhealthy soon.
I think it's gonna
get unhealthy.
I think OnlyFans specifically does kind of have this thing where it subconsciously kind of puts into a lot of guys' heads that the only way that they can receive affection from a woman is to pay for it.
That's a good point.
And a lot of it, as far as like the sex workers themselves go, it's really on an individual basis, because a lot of, you know, some women have really healthy mindsets that engage in sex work, but like a disproportionate number of them have a lot of childhood trauma, and it's probably use hypersexuality as like an unhealthy coping mechanism. And a lot of it too is the interactions that they're having with men, especially a lot of the girls on OnlyFans are just talking to fucking creeps all day, and they're seeing like the weirdest, most like disgusting, disrespectful side of like male sexuality.
Start getting really terrible views of the other gender.
Yeah.
But they're getting off. One person's getting off and the other side is getting money. So with that in mind, it's like, all right, well, fuck the mental distress this might put me in. Hey, I'm getting off, or I'm getting $20. You know?
Yeah. And it's with OnlyFans, it's weird because a lot of there's this narrative that like sex work will get you blacklisted, and I think in some regards it's kind of true. It kind of like stays with you forever.
They're getting downright fired.
Yeah.
Not be a sex worker and be a teacher.
Yeah, that's kind of.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I don't know, because with as interconnected as everything is, I think that there's like a really like. It seems really plausible that the students at the school would be able to get their hands on that material somehow or another. Because one person has to
have it.
Yeah. And then you can't really like, I think that poses like a serious problem in the classroom, both from like a behavioral aspect and like, can these, will this affect the children's ability to learn if they're like sexualizing their teacher?
I mean, have you seen all of the like case coming out like in the news, but like, female teachers are sleeping with like teenage students?
It happens all fucking time.
Bro, I've been seeing a lot of that shit. Like almost every
all the time.
I open my Instagram, there's a new teacher that's getting arrested for sleeping with like the court.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
He's like, that's getting
nuts.
wicked out here. Like, we always talk about pedophilia and we always just immediately think of men.
Mm-hmm.
We got to start looking at these lady creeps. Man.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
That is different.
That's a weird one because there is a lot of like, you'll hear a lot of guys defending it. Well, that was the best day of that kid's life. And I'm not going to lie. There's a couple teachers in high school and I tried to riz them up. It didn't work. But like, I mean,
I think there's like a level of fantasy for the guy. And I don't think they will realize that they had been abused or manipulated or whatever the case until they're like way older.
Yeah. Yeah. Possibly. I don't know. That's another thing where it's just like on an individual basis. Because I'm sure there are like male high school students that have slept with their teachers who are like, yeah, it's fine. Don't really like mind that it happened to them. And then there are some that probably have like a lot of suppressed shame and guilt about it.
That shit is so good.
Oh, other point that I was going to make about OnlyFans is a lot of sex work. And again, it's nuanced and on an individual basis, but they've done studies, and in a lot of instances, it can lead to like this sense of shame and guilt and the woman sex worker, right? So people will say that it's not an expression of self-worth, and I'm not saying sure sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's it doesn't really matter, but the point that I've been thinking about a lot lately is like, is it an expression of self-worth to go to a job that you don't like for at least 40 hours a week and not make a lot of money, or you can just play with your pussy for a few hours and respond to some DMs and make $40,000 a month? I mean, it seems like an equal trade-off. You know what I'm saying?
People love to throw stones in glass houses. That's all it is. And I think that you have to probably have really thick skin to do sex work.
Yeah, for sure.
Genuinely not feel any shame or guilt for it.
Sure.
Don't know that probably 95% of women don't have the skin that they think they do, and they probably go to sleep at night wondering if my dad saw this or if my teacher saw this.
Yeah.
But maybe a small amount of women that do not give a fuck.
Yeah.
They're doing that out of empowerment. And I respect those women. But people don't. I also think that people don't really make as much on OnlyFans as people like think.
Most of them don't. Yeah. Most of them don't.
And like, there's a lot of girls that are out there real life, like making their asshole wink at people on the internet. They're only
for like $5.
For the opposite, they're making collectively $100 a month.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's
the thing too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you just got to think, you just got to really think like, I'm about to do this, but it cannot be about money, because there's a good chance that you're not going to make any money. And once that shit's out there, it's still out there, regardless if you made $100 or $100,000. So you have to really think, am I empowered enough? Am I strong enough to do this? Whether I get the benefits I want or not.
Yeah. It's complicated, because I wonder which would lead to more stress.
Personally, not.
Even like I think about doing it is like I might be able to like do a POV video
Oh no, for
with a girl where like you don't see my face, you don't know it's me, and
a lot of guys that
I'm just dropping dick, you know. But like,
girl that watches porn, sometimes I will watch amateur porn. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason that a guy can't own the page.
mm-hmm.
And I'm saying it doesn't have to be like male directed. You don't have to be swinging your dick on camera. But there are guys that could do it.
Yeah.
Now, selling content privately, that is something that I have done in the past. And that is something that I will continue to do. Because I am confident in my sexuality. I am pretty confident in my self-esteem, my self-worth. It has nothing to do, it has nothing to do with another person's view of me. So yeah, I will sell content privately, but the idea of having it on the internet for anyone to see,
just being like a dedicated popular sex,
you know what I'm saying?
it sounds really intense.
It sounds really intense and really intimidating, and that's why I just have so much love and respect for women that do this every day. Because you know, there's girls take nudes for themselves, they take nudes for their man. So if there's some dude that's like, hey, I'll pay you $200 for a picture of your ass, I might think you're a fool to say no. Picture.
That's an easy 200, but if it was like an everyday fucking thing,
I might just literally cut my private part.
Yeah, I'd be like, this is I'm not even gay.
I don't know.
So what message would you like to share about the societal standards of beauty?
Oh man, I was just watching a long YouTube video about this other day. It's painful. It's painful. I think that the societal expectations of beauty are unrealistic. It's theatrical. It's comical.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Being a woman is being expected to perform. Being a woman is being on display all the time. Being critiqued all the time. And it's expected that a woman is to be beautiful. If a woman does not put effort into her appearance, like she's going to be talked about.
I'm almost never inclined to talk to a woman who isn't at least attractive enough to fucking arouse me, you know? And like, I'm usually not even like on that. I'm not even trying to like fuck her or whatever, but it's like, it's just some weird thing where she's more interesting if she's pretty, and if she's not interesting enough.
And that's why we have women, you know, going under the knife, and we have women using anti-aging creams when they hit 20.
Yeah, that's insane.
On diet regimens when they're 25, you know, all types of just really sad shit. Women aren't expected to age. Men are allowed to age. Women aren't. You lose your sexual value when you're 30.
Yeah.
It's a battle that you can't win unless you become confident, unless you become so solid in your self-esteem that the pressure doesn't hit you. I can go out looking like a bum fuck that, oh man, I don't think twice about what anyone's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm being desired, if there's a man on the street that might like me, because I'm not, what? Why does that matter to
right.
me? Why would that matter to me? But unfortunately, most women will not go outside if they look a mess. They will not go out.
Yeah.
They won't go out.
And the thing is, like, a lot of guys don't mind. A lot of guys don't like seeing a girl who like doesn't wear makeup or whatever. A lot of guys
naturally pretty.
Mm-hmm. If she's naturally pretty for sure.
Girl has acne or lumps and bumps and rolls, and she's walking around in the same outfit that a petite, skinny blonde girl's walking around in. You're not going to be like, oh yeah, like she's bad. She's naturally pretty. You're like, oh, that girl's a slob. She's ugly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, guys are going to say what they say.
Yeah.
Girls literally have natural makeup, no makeup routines. Because girls know that guys like natural beauty. Can you imagine how that feels as a woman to know guys like natural beauty? What if I'm not naturally beautiful?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do then?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and it's a different kind of pressure for men. It's more based off like stability.
Yeah.
And
financial
stuff. And there is I think some like a lot of girls won't date obese men, which I mean I understand, because you want to date somebody who at least like cares about their health and takes care of themselves. I think that's a healthy quality to look.
The two-way street. I don't think a lot of. I mean, no, there's probably a lot of men that will date obese.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a lot of them. And there's a lot of women who will date an obese man too. But I mean, definitely as far as like physical beauty goes, there's so much more pressure on women. You can, if you're a guy and you have like an okay life and a decent personality, you know, you don't necessarily have to be rich, and you're put together, you know, maybe not like
right. Okay, women. I have been the woman that has slept in the mama's house, in the basement, on the floor, on the couch. So for men to constantly be saying like, "Oh, women are gold diggers, women are gold diggers," da 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 da. Bitch, women will love you and ride for you like you have never seen. You will be so poor. It is unbelievable.
Yeah,
it gets to a point where those women are used, they're cheated on, they're not appreciated. So what do they start doing? They're like, okay, well, they're going to keep looking at what's pretty. They're going to keep looking at what jiggles. They're going to keep looking at what has the most likes on Instagram. So why don't I just go where the money is?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I just go? You know what I'm saying? Why don't I just?
If you are that guy and you're not doing anything to elevate yourself from that position, you know, it's like, why would I kind of have the philosophy of like, you should always be trying to improve upon your life.
Of course.
And that doesn't mean that you can't be content with where you're at, but like, why would you not make an improvement? And if you're somebody who's settling for like a really low quality of life, I can definitely understand why somebody wouldn't want to be interested in building a life with you.
I feel like women are shamed for wanting to be provided for or wanting to be with a man with money. Not the way that men are shamed for liking young, pretty girls.
Yeah.
Like, we don't bat an eye at the men in the strip club, but we have so much to say about the ladies dancing.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Why do we do that shit?
A lot of these, I see these clips that I like stitch and debunk on my TikTok page, and people like fucking defend these guys to the death, and it's kind of like whatever, and Fresh and Fit and those like red pill podcasts, and they're always talking about OnlyFans and sex workers and like women being promiscuous. But like, what about like, if you have such a problem with it, why wouldn't you call out the men who enable OnlyFans and pay for all the fucking?
We do now though, but we do, and those are actually just as dangerous as the guys with the podcast, because those are Andrew Tate.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the guys that are actually being like, okay, you know what? I've got a problem with this. I've got so much of a problem with this that I'm going to be vocal about it. I would honestly rather a man just get on a podcast and bitch about women than us have Andrew Tates that are literally pushing narratives against women. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather them just bitch on a podcast than start pushing this misogynistic ass. You know what I'm saying? Because they're borderlining, they're questioning women, they're pushing women, they're intimidating women on the camera.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate, he's got a breed of following that genuinely scares me. Like, as a like that whole thing scares me.
Yeah.
Not going.
And it's like, it's crazy too, because a lot of his shit's sensationalized. Like, guarantee he doesn't believe what he's saying. Maybe not half of it, but like, there's some things that he says just because he knows that there's gonna.
My ex-boyfriend, unfortunately, is like a clone of Andrew Tate. Like,
really,
the way that he thinks, the way that he looks is almost the exact way that Andrew Tate. That says a lot about me saying that this is my ex-boyfriend. You know, I know, but there are people that genuinely like.
Yeah, no, there's a lot, especially in like younger guys that are in high school and like college now, are like really like buying into that shit hook, line, and sinker.
Or the guys that didn't get a lot of attention growing up, and then they got money as an adult and women started to flock to them.
Yeah.
Now they hate women because you didn't love me before I had this. Bitch, gold digging bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, now you can compete in the marketplace. Why are you mad about it?
Right.
Like, why are you mad that you are reaping the benefits of your hard work?
And all those guys, they never like, because there's a natural biological element to that. And some people are just like, some people are just luckier than others.
Yeah.
And they're born into certain circumstances that allow them to get money easier. They're born handsome or beautiful, and some people aren't. And they have a harder time, you know, mating generally. But like, it's natural for women to want a provider, just like it's natural for a man to want a woman who looks nice, you know?
Men are visual creatures. We know that.
Yeah.
Fine.
And like, there's not, I mean, you can go overboard with shit for sure. Like me personally, I don't like, I know some guys who are super biggie. Like you got to have fucking double D's and a fat ass and like a, you know, hourglass figure and a beautiful face. And there's like, I'll see, you know, we'll be hanging out and like a perfectly fucking beautiful woman will walk by and they'll be like, nah, not for me. And I'm like, bro, you'd be so lucky. And like, so, you know what I'm saying?
Be so.
And like, for me, it's just like, literally like, I have certain preferences physically, but ultimately it just boils down to who you are as long as you can get my dick up. You know?
I know that's great, bitch, because I don't have a type. I don't, you know, some girls are like, they have to be over 6 foot. They have to be this strong. I don't feel that way. Like if you're cool, you're cool. If you're attractive, you're attractive. Like it is what it is. I don't care about gender, race, age. Like that shit doesn't bother me at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say to all those guys that are like exclusively like women that have basically gone under the knife or like unrealistic portrayals of women, they finna tear your ass up.
Oh yeah.
They are finna tear your ass up. They finna turn you for every dollar you got. And then they're gonna be walking around like, I hate bitches. Mm-hmm. I wonder why. Mm-hmm. I wonder why. Because you don't want the normal woman. You don't want the common woman. You want the woman that
you want the one that everybody's gonna drop their jaw at, and like, and that's even in like specific social circles. I find like it seems like the more money you get and the more like financial and social status you have, the more you're into the plastic surgery shit. Mm-hmm. Like I don't like BBLs. I think they look, I've seen like one or two ever that looks good. And I think for the most part, they look like, it's just, yeah, they're like, it's like crazy. I don't like fake titties. But like, yeah, that's like a weird, it's almost like a status thing. It's like, I can afford plastic surgery. So I'm high class.
I've had several guys offer to get surgery for me. I've had guys offer to get my lips done, boobs done, ass done. Every single surgery you can think of.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Like guys genuinely have offered to pay for the service under the condition that it's like dirt.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of the case for like a lot of women. Like a lot of these girls walking around with their bodies done probably got it done by somebody else. Somebody else paid for the surgery just to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They got their titties done so somebody else can nut on them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't get the game fucked up now. That girl's not walking around here bad. And there are some girls, but a lot of these bitches, like, it's all a facade.
And I think a lot of those,
they're owned already, man.
A lot of the girls that are really like, that really buy into that shit, I think do just as much harm for that societal standard as beauty as the men who kind of propagate.
For sure.
I was so fucking, some girls are so fucking mean to each other. There's like
it's so sad.
Yeah, there's like a good section of women, a good portion of women who are like, especially when they get around really big group and when they get around men and when they're in cliquey environments like a school or a workplace or some shit, women can be really like
scary.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Mean Girls?
Yeah.
This is the prime example. This movie came out in like fucking early 2000s. That show, girl.
Yeah, it's like real shit. Yeah, it's like real shit.
It's a serious movie, and it really does depict the just the girl environment. As someone that used to work in an all girl environment for many years between Hooters and Twin Peaks and strip clubs. Yeah, like it's all women, and it's very cliquey, it's very catty. They will smile in your face.
Lots of gossip.
Right about you as soon as you walk away. They'll give you a compliment, but it's an insult, and you have to be slick enough to pick up on the insult. And if you don't press that bitch in that moment, she's gonna talk about you when you leave because you didn't pick it up, and now everyone start. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be on your toes as a woman against other women and men, and I feel like that's really like unfortunate.
Yeah, I think just in general, people got to be on their toes around people. But
no, man, guys, I've seen guys that are complete strangers and it's like, hey, buddy, I think we went to the same.
Yeah,
girls not.
Yeah, well, it definitely like I do think guys kind of have a easier time I don't know, because a lot of guys have this like kind of competitive nature, and it's not like me, and it'll be like some real like homie shit, but a lot of guys are really like high energy and kind of physical, you know, like they'll box and wrestle with each other, and they're always like trying to compete with each other, but it's like direct.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everybody knows what we're trying to do here. You know, it's just this thing we do as bros, and I don't really like that shit. But you do see a lot of that.
Like, why don't we link up and do a puzzle, bros? Why we always gotta compete? Why we gotta play video games, sports?
Yeah.
Why don't we just read?
Or even like, you know, because video games and sports are fun, but you got guys that fucking rage when they play video games. Video game rage is insane. Because like you watch sport and you see athletes get mad, but their anger doesn't sound like, yeah. You know, video game rage is like a really specific.
I know a guy in high school that was like, he played soccer and he played FIFA in his free time at home. And one day he came to school with a black eye, and I was like, "Oh my God, Tyler, did you get in a fight?" And he was like, "No, I was playing FIFA and I lost and I beat myself up."
Yeah, no, I
literally started like, he had anger and management issues, but he gave himself a black eye.
I used to have
soccer.
I used to have a roommate like that. He was playing Fortnite, and something happened. He fucking lost. And he took a fucking baseball bat to his computer desk, fucked up his monitors, PlayStation, had to buy all new shit.
I'm sorry, these are the weakest links. Okay.
Yeah.
These are the guys, like, fuck, man. Like, my whole thing when it comes to that is just like, oh, I'm not trying to sound like, I don't know. I'm a traditionalist, so let me just say that now. But like, as a man, you cannot let your emotions get the best of you in a situation like that. Like,
no.
I feel like women are already just such emotional creatures. If a woman gets in a relationship with a man that rages out over fucking video games, can you imagine the hell they're about to put each other through?
Yeah. Yeah, as a man, you're definitely the more stoic you can be.
The better.
Yeah. The more stoic you can be and the more you can regulate your...
Like, there's nothing more unattractive than a man that's gonna, like, I don't know, like, own your emotions, communicate them with me, express them with me, but please do not do it in anger and aggression.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of men, unfortunately, only can communicate yelling or just throwing a fit, and that's what women do, and like nobody listens to each other at that point. So
yeah, there's definitely a calm and mature and respectful way to go about it. And sometimes like the only thing you can really do is just kind of remove yourself from the situation, at least until the emotions fizzle out, kind of come back later. And,
like, why? Because she pissed me off.
Yeah, it's insane.
Okay, all right. I'm terrified. I am terrified. So yeah, no, I will take the quiet guy. I will take the one that simply does not talk. You will hear him, see him. That's the one.
Word. One more question for you, Miss Kylie Reese's Pieces. What are your hopes for the future, both personally and globally?
That's a crazy question. Personally, my hopes for the future, just for myself, I would like to be able to really make something out of myself with clothes. I have been a secret fashion junkie for a couple of years now, and I'm just finally getting the courage to get my sewing machine and just throwing myself into it. So I really hope that I can make something with that. It doesn't have to be like a job of mine, but just something that I can, I don't know, love and do. Because I don't have any hobbies, so I would really love for that. I would also really like to get a career for myself going, finally escape capitalism rat race, just serving, waiting on another buck. I would like to find a career, maybe do real estate, something like that. Keep avoiding pregnancy. That's seriously, like, that shit is going around bad. And I want a new car. And then for like globally, I want everyone to, I don't know, rot. want everyone to rot. I don't wish for world peace. I do not. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. I do. I don't know. I don't really think about the state of the world too much. I also start crying.
That's nice. Yeah.
I don't.
I have a hard time not thinking about it.
I used to all the fucking time. I actually went to college to be a diplomat. I was doing international communications. I was a diplomat for the U.S. when I was in France. I did training for that for years. Was very passionate about global issues. Very passionate. Fuck that shit now. Fuck that shit. There's like, I will always read history books. I will always watch war movies.
Yeah.
Always be so interested in people, but when it comes to the state of everything, no.
Yeah, I'm really big into history, and I can watch like, have you ever seen the government archives of the concentration camps? They're insane. But I can watch those and go to sleep. It's all good. But if it's happening right now, it stresses me the fuck out.
Because I feel like a fool. Every day I feel a fucking fool washing my face or washing my dishes or making my fucking bed. And there are people on the other side of the world burning alive.
Yeah.
It makes how can I go to work when there are children fucking starving? There are people being exploited for fucking gasoline.
Yeah.
I'm saying I can't sleep with that. So the only way I've made peace with it is to simply focus on the things that I can control.
Yeah.
I unfortunately cannot control those things. I will advocate for them when the time comes. Obviously, if there's a petition, I'll sign it. If there's something I can post in my story, I'll do that. But I don't know.
See, I think I'm a lot more selfish in that regard because I don't really have that survivor skill. I don't get that. I don't know why, but I just don't I don't. I can be grateful for how lucky I am to have the life that I have, but I don't like seeing another person suffering in a different country doesn't necessarily make me think, well, how can I, how am I continuing on as this is going on? Yeah, I'm having a hard time articulating what I'm trying to say.
I understand what you mean. But empathize and feel for it, but it doesn't make you personally feel like guilt.
Yeah.
Where I do experience that guilt for some reason.
Yeah, I don't get that guilt, but for me it's a lot more selfish. Especially when the war in Ukraine started, I kind of started getting a little antsier than I would usually be. But when Palestine or Hamas went into Israel on October 7th, which was my birthday, I was like, well, this is going to be a clusterfuck. This is going to be a fucking mess. Because, that Israel's been fucking over the Palestinians for so long now.
For so fucking... And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it here right now on camera. Call Hamas what you want, but those are the freedom fighters. Fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. I've seen a lot of footage come out from people being released, the hostages that Hamas held. They're shaking them people's hands. They're hugging them. They're fucking I don't know what the fuck happened in private, but I've seen videos of Palestinian hostages being released from Israel. Jesus Christ, it did not look like that. It did not look like that.
Yeah, that's a complicated one because Hamas
has done terrible things.
They have some pretty horrible views, but
for sure,
it's almost kind of and I don't even know if I'd say they're the lesser of two evils. This is how I see it. The person, the group that is not in power is never oppressing the group that is in power. So the group that is in power always, I think, kind of looks a little bit worse just because they have the means to actually carry out their intentions. Or if the sides were flipped, you might have a similar picture being painted, just a different group oppressing another group. But the thing that fucks with me about the Israel-Palestine thing the most is, one, America is fucking involved in shit.
Yeah.
And we're always involved in shit. But this one, it's kind of
Israel is our closest ally in the Middle East.
Yeah.
That.
And it's kind of yo, we really shouldn't be supporting the shit they're doing. We should not be And I get going to war with Hamas and fighting in the streets, but like bombing a camp full of 50 civilians just to kill one guy.
But this is my whole thing. When it comes to Hamas, obviously there are going to be some very violent extremists in this group. But at its core, I genuinely do feel like these were the people that had been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and finally said, you know what, we have to retaliate. We have to do something. And
well, that's what breeds those extremist ideologies. It's that oppression.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so if like you oppress a certain group for so long, I think it is a lot easier or more practical to empathize with the group that's been being oppressed, even though they might be committing atrocities and they might have these atrocious beliefs.
You understand where the anger stems from. We do not know to this. I mean, we do know why Israel wants Palestine. And I'm saying they feel like they are the superior people. The Bible told them that they have to remove these people from their holy land.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck. We understand why they're doing that. Palestinians have done nothing. They have done absolutely fucking nothing. So of course they're going to retaliate in absolute fucking anger because why are you terrorizing my family? Mm-hmm. I don't know you people. You know what I'm saying?
The vast majority of Palestinians are like barely retaliate.
No, and a lot of Palestinians do not agree with Hamas. They don't like Hamas. They don't support Hamas.
Well, Hamas was funded by the Israeli government to like be in power. And I don't know if their intention was like it's more convenient for them to have an extremist organization in power because they can like justify their wrongdoings more if they have an extremist organization to kind of scapegoat.
They're their scapegoat.
But like, I don't know if it was that or if just Hamas used to stand for...
exists. We have to do this because there's Hamas hiding underground of these people's family. No, the fuck there's not. There's not.
I don't think the Palestinian people really had as much of a say in that election as you would hope a group of people has in an election. But like, it's crazy to me because really like Britain fucked up is what really like started all this shit. Britain fucked up because Israel was the land of the Jews, or I don't even know if it was just Jewish people, but it was like, I think it was like a home base for the Jews, like
for sure
2,000 years ago or something, thousands of years ago. And then some shit happened. There's this whole like concept of divine exile in the Jewish religion, which I don't really understand a whole lot about, but I know it's a thing. And like, so that happens, and there is some kind of like occupation that kicked the Jews out, from what I understand, 2,000 years ago. You know, like, it's a long fucking time. And it's like, okay, sure, maybe this land was occupied or taken. I still don't really understand it. Might not even be how it went down, but like, maybe that's what happened. But like, these people lived there for then 2,000 years. The people living there now ain't have shit to do with it. And you didn't have shit to do with that either. You weren't alive. You know?
That either, you know? That is my whole fucking thing. Like, it just feels like it's not even a war. It's a conflict that's really fueled by religion and politics. And usually it's just politics, but now they have some sort of like, okay, fight over Holy Land and divine exile. It becomes something that is so goddamn complicated.
Yeah, and so much more emotional. We speak so much of person's identity wrapped up in their religion.
The resilience that the Palestinian people have shown in this conflict inspires me every single day. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, seeing Palestinian people literally gather in hundreds in mosques that have been bombed to shreds. They're praying in rubble. You know what I'm saying? Like, Israel is trying to cleanse the strongest people. The chosen people. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to get rid of them. They're trying to commit genocide, and unfortunately, like, there's really nothing that anybody can do about it.
Yeah, it's a really weird. It's been like a really weird slow burning.
Like, schools are closing down because the kids.
Yeah.
Like, they're
the majority
wiping out the young. Like, there's going to be no more Palestinians.
It's like the majority of the deaths are children.
The majority. I think I saw a number. It's like the average number of a wounded person in Palestine was 5.
Yeah, it's very, very,
very, very, very low.
Very young. And it's crazy. But I mean, you know, sometimes people use that point where like it was the Jews' land first. Well, like Yeah, but then like 100 years ago, somebody's grandma got kicked off of their shit from some settler who violated an agreement that is pretty controversial in the first place.
Sure. If we're gonna talk about it, I mean, fuck, didn't Americans like fucking like move to the 13 colonies and start this whole fucking nation because they were being too heavily,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And we're the great American people. We started this land. Fuck the British. Da, 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 da. And the Palestinians created some sort of, I don't know, group to prevent themselves from being fucking literally minimized to nothing. And we're like, damn, why'd they do that? They shouldn't have done that. Can you imagine being in their fucking shoes?
Mm-hmm. Well, you get.
We're taxed a little bit. And we were like, fuck, we have to go start our own country.
Yeah.
Palestinians have been under fucking oppression for fucking last 50 years. And it's just now getting to conflict.
Yeah, you get.
Just now getting to conflict.
There have been
some grace.
Yeah, there have been conflict. There's been a few wars, but this one, with all the modern technology and all the like globalization that's happening that makes everyone so interconnected, so you have more than just two countries involved in it. This one's a little bit more intense and sketchy. But like, you know, Israel commits war crimes against the Palestinians. And
single day.
Even like before this conflict happened, like limiting their access to water, and you know, it's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. But there is like, that has been the story of history. It's not even just America, but literally the entire world is just occupation after, you know, either genocide or exile. And you think by now we'd be able to.
I think what everybody's like freaking out about, like, bro, it's 2023. Like, why are you trying to colonize a land that's already been thing, bro? Mm-hmm. Like, you're cool. Like, just chill over there. Like, fuck, like, what are we doing? That's what we felt about Russia and Ukraine. Like, why in 2023 are we still
trying to get land? Yeah.
Saying, bro, we got the whole fucking earth is going to be on fire in fucking 200 years. Why the fuck are we still conquering?
Yeah. I mean, it's not nearly as practical as it used to be either, because the whole economy is interconnected. The whole global economy is interconnected. So you don't need to acquire a bunch of resources for your country. You can just mess with them. Yeah, you can. Yeah. And I mean, you do need resources to export, but there's like a bunch of ways that you can do that. You can import resources and turn them into products and export those products. And
you gotta steal them from the land.
Yeah, it's weird. Power does crazy shit to people.
Really crazy shit. All right, man. Free everybody that's a victim of war right now. There is no justice in it. People are being hurt on both sides for sure, but I think this is a pretty like, if you have never taken a stance on a social issue before, I feel like this is a really, like, it's time to do it.
Yeah.
Come on, you guys. But unfortunately, it's not. I've posted only like one or two things supporting Palestine, and I've had to cut off like 4 friends.
See,
because of conversations that we had.
I don't know. I rarely post about shit on my personal page because I'm just like, this doesn't fuck is for the see.
Make a fucking difference. Like, neither.
You know, but like every now and then, if I just have a fucking thought that I want to share, I do it. Like, I mean,
I try to have my backbone. Like, if I feel something, if I support something, I'll state it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it depends. Somebody says something that annoys me, I'll argue with them.
No,
somebody has like a stupid take, I'll just be like, no, this is why you're wrong.
No, literally, I'll just be like, fuck off. I'm not going to be the one to educate you. Go on, bitch.
I'll do that, but I do try to do it in a way that's like educational. I got a TikTok page that I've been trying to grow, and it's like educational mini lectures.
I'm really bad at that.
And shit. It's definitely, I have a CapCut which has a teleprompt, so it keeps me from my like uhs and likes and pauses and shit. And through editing, I make myself look very articulate. But yeah, I do that, and I try to present things in a way that's like calm, and usually I'm not talking about like really controversial issues either. I save that for the podcast. But yeah, I mean, people be getting on the internet and saying the dumbest shit. And it's like,
well, thank you for getting on there and trying to cut through the noise.
I do my best.
You're doing your part, and that's all you really can do.
I'm just trying to get paid, bro.
I
ain't doing it for no reason other than that.
Yeah. More power to all of the whores out there. Fuck Fat America.
Fuck Fat America.
Fat America.
Free Young Thug.
Back Victoria's Secret. Bring back pink yoga pants. With the waistband that says pink on them. With the dog on the back.
So we tired of looking at these obese models, bro.
Bro, I'm tired of this shit, dog. Like, fuck, if we're gonna be living in this fantasy fairy tale world where bitches have BBLs and triple D titties, let's allow us to live in fantasy world where girls are like, I don't know, size of paper. Fuck, we've all got our fantasies. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a woman, I want to see something on the runway that's very unattainable. Not a bitch that I could turn into in 10 years. Cancel me if you want to. It's supposed to, like, if you look at a runway, if you look at a high fashion show and you don't feel a little bit like shit afterwards, it wasn't high fashion. It wasn't.
Straight up. How you want to give them your social media?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Kylie.rs. You can find me on Facebook at Kylie Reese. I'm not on literally anything else.
Real quick, have you ever thought about how if there are infinite universes, or even if the universe is just infinite, then does that mean that somewhere out there, not only once, but an infinite number of times, there's a version of you that is a pedophile?
It's not that.
See you next week.